and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Kampir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight is on the latest from West Asia, with the Iran-US ceasefire at risk as Iran reportedly shuns the peace talks and vows retaliation after the US seizes an Iranian-flagged cargo ship. The situation in West Asia remains volatile. Where are things headed? We are decoding the developments for you in just a bit. Also on the show for you tonight, telling you all about the situation in Japan after a powerful earthquake struck off its northeastern coast. An image from southern Lebanon triggering massive outrage, forcing the Israeli military onto the defensive. We get to the complete story, all this and more coming up.
Motor vessel Toska, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
West Asia on the cusp of an all-out war. Iran has fired a massive warning at the United States. A warning that could shatter the tense, fragile ceasefire and drag the entire region back to the edge of a full-scale war. A U.S. destroyer opened fire and then moved in to seize an Iranian-flagged cargo vessel in the Gulf of Oman. Tehran is now vowing a forceful, direct retaliation against Washington, a threat that is not just symbolic but also carries a lot of weight. Because Iran is actively building up its missile and drone arsenal, while stockpiling more advanced, deadly weaponry. As per a report by the New York Times, based on U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran has access to around 70% of its pre-war ballistic missile stockpiles and around 60% of its missile launchers, while Tehran, the report claims, also retains around 40% of its drone arsenal. The latest flashpoint is the Iranian vessel. According to the U.S. Central Command, the ship was sailing through the North Arabian Sea towards the Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas when it allegedly ignored repeated warnings for nearly 6 hours. The U.S. Navy's guided missile destroyer opened fire, targeting the vessel's engine room to bring it to a halt.
Motor vessel Toska, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
And soon after, the U.S. Marines boarded the ship, and the ship is reportedly under American control now. Iran, meanwhile, telling a different story. Iranian media claiming that naval units from the Revolutionary Guards responded swiftly and forced the U.S. destroyer to pull back. The US has even released video footage of the operation, in fact. The visuals showing Marines launching from the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli, flying over the open waters in a helicopter and then descending onto the cargo vessel. According to maritime tracking data, meanwhile, it had departed Malaysia's port just over a week ago and was heading straight to Iran. In a post on social media, the US president defended the action, stating that the vessel attempted to breach a US naval blockade. And according to him, the Navy issued clear warnings. That statement on your screen. He says when the crew refused to comply, force was used to stop the ship in its tracks. Iran, meanwhile, pushing back both militarily and diplomatically. A lot has been happening. A spokesperson for Iran's military command center has accused the US of violating a ceasefire that has been in place since April 8 and warned of imminent retaliation. In fact, Iran's foreign ministry has accused Washington of repeatedly undermining the peace efforts. Listen to this.
What we've been dealing with are ceasefire violations during periods when the pause was supposed to hold, whether in Lebanon or in what they claim is a naval blockade of Iran, or even attacks on a commercial vessel. All of these are clear breaches of international law and the United Nations Charter, as well as direct violations of the ceasefire.
And China, meanwhile, expressed concern over the Iranian ship seizing incident, calling the US move a forcible interception and urging all sides to return to dialogue before the situation slips further out of control. Back in Tehran, thousands gathered in support of the Iranian regime, with many openly voicing distrust of the United States and backing a strong response.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
We are not afraid of war. Even if not just one attack, but continuous attacks are carried out against our country, we will certainly move forward with greater strength and authority. But in my view, given the situation as it is developing, the United States and Israel have no option but to surrender to Iran's demands.
And with the military threats, the diplomatic accusations, public anger all intensifying, one thing right now is clear. West Asia stands at a dangerous crossroad.
The Vice Chairman will be there.
And with the world closely watching what's unfolding in West Asia, no breakthrough right now is visible, with the Iran-US ceasefire set to expire in just less than 48 hours. While US President Donald Trump claims that the talks will resume on Tuesday, Tehran is yet to confirm that. And amid all of that uncertainty, conflicting reports are emerging of when the US Vice President J.D. Vance and members of his delegation will be arriving in Islamabad. A day earlier, Trump accused Iran of violating the ceasefire by opening fire at ships in the Strait of Hormuz, while announcing that his representatives will reach Islamabad on Monday evening. The US president repeated his threat against Iran. He said, I'm quoting, "We are offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the US is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran." As per the New York Post, the US delegation is likely to reach Pakistan within a few hours. However, other media reports suggesting that they are expected to depart the US on Tuesday. Iran, though, has denied any plan for talks. It also expressed a lack of trust in America's diplomatic overtures, citing its Hormuz blockade and attack on an Iranian ship. Differences between the two sides remain unresolved at the same time. While Trump wants Iran to give up enriched uranium, Tehran has ruled out that possibility. Listen to this now.
As of now, while I am at your service, we have no plans for the next round of negotiation, and no decision has been made in this regard.
However, Pakistan is already preparing for the talks and has beefed up security. Entry into Islamabad's red zone has been suspended. All public and private offices and schools in the area have been told to adopt a work-from-home arrangement. Roads around the hotel there, the likely venue of the talks, have also been closed with barbed wire. So that's what's been happening on the ground there. In another development, Pakistan's Interior Minister met the acting American envoy at the US Embassy in Islamabad to discuss the second round of talks with Iran. Similarly, he also met Iran's envoy to Pakistan to discuss security and logistical arrangements. As per reports, Pakistan Army Chief also spoke to Trump and stressed that the US blockade of Iran's ports is a hurdle to the talks. Now, what exactly are the possibilities that the world is looking at? If the negotiations collapse, what are the scenarios? A blockade might be in the offing in the Red Sea as well. That's also a possibility. While Iran has already shut the Strait of Hormuz, the Houthis, remember, have threatened to shut Bab el-Mandeb, one of the world's most critical shipping choke points, as it handles around 10% of the global seaborne oil trade. The strait's potential closure will add to the global energy shock. The question also is it really in America's interest to escalate the situation? As per Tasneem News Agency, Tehran may target the pipeline carrying Saudi oil to Yanbu and UAE's oil export terminal at the Fujairah. If the war resumes again, this may also have devastating consequences for the global economy. And amid all this, Joe Kent, who resigned as the director of the US National Counter-Terrorism Center in protest against the Iran war, advised Trump to follow in ex-President Ronald Reagan's footsteps. He urged the US president to recognize that there is no way to force a positive outcome and leave West Asia. Reagan, remember, chose this path in 1984 by withdrawing the US forces from Lebanon after 241 military personnel died in a suicide bombing. Meanwhile, it has now emerged that the US Navy is using specialized robotic systems to destroy mines planted in the Strait of Hormuz. And as per reports, the US is using a floating sonar system to scan the seabed for mines and is able to patrol areas up to 100 feet at a time. Besides this, it is also reportedly using underwater drones, which can be deployed from small boats to scan for mines. So that's what's happening on that front. The thing is, these technologies may help clear Hormuz faster, as opposed to the Navy clear the strategic waterway in a matter of days, as opposed to weeks or months, which the traditional methods would require. Meanwhile, Iran is reportedly closely watching global conflicts unfold. It's learning from them reportedly, adapting and accordingly preparing. And at the center of this strategic shift lies one main battlefield, the Russia-Ukraine war. According to a Financial Times report, in the run-up to the weeks-long war with Israel and the United States, Iran's military establishment systematically studied the Russia-Ukraine war. Iran reportedly closely tracked how Ukraine kept its defense production running under pressure, reportedly, how it deployed low-cost, mass-produced drones often built using 3D printing reportedly, as well as the need for mobile and agile combat units. And as per the report, the Iranian commanders in defense journals spoke about the Russia-Ukraine war in reshaping their thinking, in which they basically highlighted the growing role of AI, small drones, and advanced technologies like quantum and nanosystems. In future wars, Iran has reportedly already started updating its military textbooks, in fact, and training methods based on these lessons. Iran's focus is reportedly clear. Modern warfare will be fast, tech-driven, and drone-heavy.
انهدام اهداف هوایی متقاطع روز ضد ناوشکن
At the same time, based on learnings from the Russia-Ukraine war, Iranian military writings revealing concerns over weak forward planning reportedly, gaps in preparedness for emerging threats, and the urgent need to recruit skilled specialists, also new weapons reportedly. The Iranian commanders reportedly pushing for reforms in military exercises and demand investments in cutting-edge systems. From drones and lasers to space-based platforms, there is also a push reportedly to rebuild Iran's aging air force, including plans to acquire advanced Su-35 fighter jets from Russia. Russia, remember, has been extensively using Iran's Shahid suicide drones against Ukraine. That battlefield partnership has likely given Tehran real-time insights into modern warfare, insights it likely used as far as its own military planning is concerned. Beyond strategy, the Iranian defense journals also shedding light on potential issues in military hospitals, reportedly, concerns over troop morale, all based on learnings from the Russia-Ukraine war. And the thing is, Iran is not the only one that is using the Russia-Ukraine battlefield as a playbook for military planning. The president of Ukraine has recently forged a 10-year defense and security agreements with Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, reportedly to exchange battlefield-tested expertise in return for financial aid and fuel. So the strategy is perhaps clear. Iran is using the Russia-Ukraine war to try and replicate its military playbook, it seems, refine its tactics, and also prepare for wars. A shocking image from southern Lebanon has ignited outrage and reportedly forced the Israeli military to go on the defensive. A photograph showing an IDF soldier smashing a statue of Jesus with a sledgehammer reportedly has been verified as authentic by the Israeli military, triggering condemnation, an official probe, and promises of strict action. In a statement, the IDF said that the act violates its core values, stressing that such behavior is unacceptable within its ranks. Authorities have launched an investigation under the IDF's Northern Command. The IDF says it will take appropriate disciplinary measures based on the findings. The incident took place in the Christian village of Debel in South Lebanon, an area where Israeli forces had recently conducted operations against the Hezbollah. The Israeli military said it will assist the local Christian community in restoring the damaged statue. And the Israeli Prime Minister, meanwhile, said he was stunned and saddened by the incident. He further said that the IDF is conducting a criminal probe and, in his words, will take appropriately harsh disciplinary action against the offender. While Israel's foreign minister also strongly condemned the act, calling it shameful and completely at odds with the country's principles, he has also issued an apology to the Christian community, assuring that strict action will follow and reiterating Israel's stated commitment to respecting all religions and sacred symbols. This controversy also surfacing at a rather sensitive point. The image emerged just days into the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, remember, adding to the scrutiny over the conduct of the Israeli troops. It also comes amid the rising tensions between the Israeli authorities and the Christian leaders in Jerusalem. Just last month, remember, a major controversy erupted when the Israeli police prevented senior Catholic figures, including the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, from reportedly praying at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre on Palm Sunday. Authorities cited wartime security restrictions, but the incident sparked international backlash before arrangements were made for Easter services. Meanwhile, domestic anger has also been mounting in Israel. Thousands of Israelis over the weekend took to the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, protesting the government policies and targeting the Prime Minister's leadership, particularly over the handling of the wars with Iran and Lebanon, as well as the rise in incidents of settler violence in the West Bank. On to Japan now. It has issued a warning of a potential mega quake after a powerful earthquake struck off its northeastern coast. The Japan Met Agency has said an earthquake of magnitude 7.7 struck, after which a tsunami advisory was issued. The quake, which hit at 4:53 p.m. local time in Pacific waters of northern Iwate Prefecture, was strong enough to shake large buildings as far as Tokyo, hundreds of kilometers away. And after the first quake, Japan issued a special advisory warning of an increased risk of earthquakes at magnitude 8.0 or stronger after a powerful jolt rattled the country's north and prompted a tsunami warning. The Japan Met Agency, meanwhile, said in a statement that the likelihood of a new huge earthquake occurring is relatively higher than during normal times.
The Japan Meteorological Agency is currently examining whether it is related to a subsequent earthquake along the Japan Trench or the Kuril Trench. We urge the public to stay alert for earthquakes at a scale around 5+. In addition, those living in areas that experience strong quake should pay close attention to evacuation information issued by local authorities via radio, television, and the internet.
In fact, authorities have placed as many as 182 cities and towns stretching from Hokkaido to Chiba on alert. Residents in 7 prefectures have been urged to prepare for possible disaster and closely monitor the official updates. Around 40 minutes after the earthquake, an 80-centimeter tsunami wave hit a port in Kuji. A 40-centimeter tsunami was observed at the Miyako port. Smaller waves under 30 centimeters have reached other coastal areas. And now the tsunami warning has been lifted. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, called for swift evacuations in the high-risk zones. So far, no abnormalities have been reported at the nearby nuclear facilities, including the Fukushima Daiichi plant, though inspections are underway.
As a precaution in response to the aftershock advisory, which is expected to remain in effect for about a week, please ensure you are prepared to evacuate immediately and always carry your emergency supplies with you.
Remember, Japan is one of the world's most seismically active countries, sitting on top of 4 major tectonic plates along the western edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The archipelago, home to around 125 million people, typically experiences around 1,500 jolts every year and accounts for about 18% of the world's earthquakes. The vast majority are mild, although the damage they cause varies according to their location and the depth below the Earth's surface at which they strike. Japan is haunted by the memory of a massive 9.0 magnitude undersea earthquake. This was in the year 2011, remember, which triggered a tsunami that killed or left missing around 18,500 people and caused a devastating meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear plant. Moscow has confirmed that the India-Russia reciprocal exchange of logistical support agreement has entered into force. The discussion on the deal began back in 2018 and it was signed in February 2025. The agreement was ratified by the Russia parliament last December. It was then ratified by the Russian president just before his trip to India. Russia's official legal information portal has now confirmed that the deal is in effect and it entered into force on the 12th of January. The agreement basically is about military logistics and it is a technical deal. It lays out the procedure for troops, warships and military aircraft from India and Russia entering the other's territory. Under the agreement, up to 3,000 Indian troops can simultaneously be in Russia and vice versa. The deal also says 5 warships and 10 aircraft from both countries can be present in the other at any given point of time. While the foreign troops or warships and aircraft are in either country, the agreement lays out the obligations of the hosting nation and simplifies the process of how airspace and ports may be used. Indian and Russian troops or military vessels may be in the other nation for a number of reasons. The deal lists out the procedure to be used in the case of joint military drills and training exercises, or when the militaries are providing humanitarian assistance or relief during disasters, either natural or man-made. The agreement will be in force for 5 years, and if both nations agree, it can be extended for another 5. Russia is not the only country that India has a logistics agreement with. In 2016, India had signed the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, the pact with the US. When the agreement came into force, the Indian government had also clarified that it did not allow for the establishment of any bases or basing arrangements. A quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We are telling you all about Russia's deadly drone attack in Kiev. That's coming up shortly. Can yuan replace the dollar in global oil trade? We decode this and tell you why this question is being asked. Shockers from Louisiana in the US to India's Uttar Pradesh involving fathers allegedly killing their own children. Getting you the complete story in just a bit. All this and more coming up. The Iran war has accelerated the push for non-dollar trade in oil, and as Tehran begins accepting payments in China's yuan for oil, talks of what's being called Petroyuan are back on the table reportedly. But can the Chinese currency really challenge the dominance of the US dollar? Or is this momentum only temporary? Our next report decoding this for you.
The Iran conflict is triggering fresh momentum for China's yuan in global oil trade. After Iran began accepting yuan payments to allow safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, demand for the Chinese currency has picked up. Data shows a sharp rise in yuan-denominated crude transactions with China's cross-border interbank payment system, or CIPS, recording a single-day transaction of 1.22 trillion yuan, its highest ever. The shift is reviving debate around a potential Petroyuan system where oil trade is priced and settled in China's currency. China's push is backed by deepening trade ties with the Gulf. Yuan-based transaction between China and the region touched 1.1 trillion yuan in 2024, growing at over 50% annually since 2020. Beijing has also expanded financial infrastructure from yuan-denominated oil futures in Shanghai to cross-border payment systems and digital currency experiments with Gulf partners. But the scale gap remains significant. CIPS volumes are still far smaller than the US CHIPS network, which processes around $2 trillion daily. And crucially, much of the yuan trade is still concentrated in sanctioned economies like Russia and Iran, limiting its broader global adoption. Despite rising traction, analysts remain cautious on the yuan's ability to rival the dollar anytime soon. The greenback still dominates nearly 80% of global commodity trade, anchored by deep financial markets and decades of trust. The trust, however, faces new headwinds in the Trump era. Meanwhile, structural challenges persist for China. This includes capital controls, limited convertibility, and fewer global investment avenues for surplus yuan holdings. Even if the dollar's share declines to around 70% over the next few years, the yuan is expected to rise only modestly to 8 to 10%. For now, the Iran conflict may accelerate diversification, but a true shift away from the petrodollar system remains gradual, not imminent. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And the war in West Asia has meanwhile forced US partners in the Gulf to rethink their alliance with Washington. Not just the regional security architecture, but even the economic and political linkages are being restructured. And leading this change is the UAE, reportedly. A report in the Wall Street Journal saying the UAE has opened talks with the US for a wartime financial lifeline. According to the report, the UAE's central bank governor has discussed the idea of a currency swap line with the US Treasury Secretary and officials from the Federal Reserve. The request reportedly underscoring the hit to the Emirati economy and its status as a global financial hub since the beginning of the Israeli-US war on Iran. The war has significantly damaged Emirati oil and gas infrastructure, remember, and with global shipping coming to a halt in the Strait of Hormuz, the UAE has been unable to sell its oil using tankers, stripping it of a key source of dollar revenue. And the US naval blockade has added a whole another layer of uncertainty, turning the critical waterway into the new battleground in a way. And it's not just Iran. Gulf countries like the UAE also feeling the heat, of course. UAE's industry minister, meanwhile, has called for reopening the strait in a strongly worded post. The minister stressed that the waterway cannot operate under threat and must be returned to the world as it was before the war. Questions also being asked about the US security umbrella in the region overall. For years now, remember, Gulf states have poured billions into the THAAD and Patriot missile defense systems sold by the US. In fact, in May last year, the Saudis had sealed a $142 billion arms package, which included THAAD and Patriot missiles. But Iranian retaliatory attacks, especially with cheap Shahed drones, exposed the limitations of the US missile defense systems. The string of the US military bases in the Gulf also under the scanner Abdul Khalik Abdullah, a prominent political commentator in the UAE, in fact, has questioned whether the UAE needs the US to defend itself. In a post on X, he called on the UAE to consider closing the American bases, calling them a burden instead of a strategic asset. That statement on your screen. In fact, since the beginning of the war, Iran has repeatedly hit multiple US bases in the region, calling them legitimate targets for retaliation, turning the US bases into a liability for the Gulf in a way. From Louisiana in the United States to India's Uttar Pradesh, two recent incidents involving fathers allegedly killing their own children have sent out shockwaves. Louisiana witnessed a ghastly crime as a person allegedly killed 7 of his own children and another minor inside his house. As per the police, the children's ages ranged from about 1 to 14. He also allegedly shot 2 other women. And after the shooting, he stole a vehicle and was killed when the police fired at him during the chase.
I can tell you the suspect in this case, Shamar Ed Elkins, has been identified. He is the father of 7 of the children that were killed in this house. There is an 8th child that was also killed, as well as the 2 females that were involved. Both of them had gunshot wounds.
Blood-stained doors marked the house at the center of the investigation as the police sealed off the street where the murders took place. And while the police are yet to ascertain the motive behind the murders, the Louisiana senator reportedly stressing on the need for more resources to combat domestic violence. As per the Gun Violence Archive, the U.S. has seen at least 119 mass shootings this year itself, resulting in 117 deaths and 458 injuries. Meanwhile, a group of more than 30 mourners gathered in a parking lot to honor the lives of the 8 children who were fatally shot. Meanwhile, another heart-wrenching incident unfolded in Kanpur in India's Uttar Pradesh. A medicine dealer by profession allegedly murdered his 11-year-old twin daughters by slitting their throat with a steel axe. The murders took place at the Trimurti apartments there, where they were staying for the past 7 years, reportedly. The police confirmed that he has been arrested and the bodies have been sent for post-mortem.
Suspect, who is the father, has been arrested. This case is being thoroughly investigated. As of now, the law and order situation is normal. Police officers are present at the scene.
It has been learnt that the man himself informed the police after allegedly committing the murders. According to his wife, meanwhile, he often came home drunk and engaged in arguments and fights, reportedly. As per reports, a dispute arose between the two, even on the night of the killings. It is also suspected that the accused may have given his family sleeping pills before the incident, as his wife was also present in the same room at the time of the murder but was unaware of it, reportedly. Shifting focus for now, as the world is gripped by a spate of conflicts, every country in a way seeking to bolster its defense. However, a new claim has put the UK's military in a rather awkward position. Speaking at an event, former UK Defence Secretary George Robertson had said that the country's defence ministry has lost track of military veterans whom they intend to recall at a time of national danger. As per Robertson, who also served as the NATO Secretary General in the past, the UK maintains a strategic reserve of about 95,000 former soldiers and officials and officers, beg your pardon. But officials have failed to maintain a full record of their contact details, reportedly. Why is this significant? Under UK's law, all former army officials can be recalled for military duty until the age of 65. And UK's Defence Ministry maintains contact with military personnel in the first 6 years after their retirement from service. However, reports suggest that the practice of maintaining contact with all veterans liable for recall, fell by the wayside after the end of the Cold War. And last week, Robertson accused UK's leaders of showing a corrosive complacency, quote unquote, towards defence and putting the country in peril. In fact, he alleged that the UK Prime Minister was failing to adequately fund defence. However, the UK Prime Minister rebutted the claims in the Parliament. Listen in.
Responsibility is to keep the British people safe, and that is a duty I take seriously. That is why I don't agree with his comments. Last February, that was 7 months after taking office, I took the decision to increase defence spending from 2.3 to 2.6%, paid for by a difficult decision on overseas aid.
In January this year, UK's head of armed forces had told the Parliamentary Defence Committee that his country is not as ready as it needs to be for a full-scale conflict. Not just that. He reportedly told the UK Prime Minister that the Defence Ministry is facing a 20 billion euros shortfall in funding for the next 4 years. Moving on for now, a new warning is spreading across the internet. Campaigners, content creators are sounding the alarm that artificial intelligence could one day slip beyond human control. It might sound like sci-fi, but some of the biggest names in the world of tech saying that the danger is real. The question now is no longer about what AI can do, but what happens if it decides for itself. Take a look.
It does not breathe. It does not sleep. It learns at a speed no human can match. And every day it gets stronger. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant concept locked inside research labs. It writes code, diagnoses disease, creates images, drives systems, predicts behavior, and speaks with growing fluency.
Good dose of humidity at 74%. As evening rolls in, I guess we'll see it get a bit cooler.
It is entering offices, schools, homes, and even battlefields. Now, a fresh movement is trying to warn the world about where that road could lead. According to recent reports, groups worried about advanced AI are recruiting online creators to spread awareness about the risks of machines becoming too powerful, too autonomous, and too difficult to control. Their message is stark. Humanity may be building something it cannot switch off. Well, these fears are not new. For decades, popular culture imagined rogue machines turning on their makers, from killer robots to self-aware supercomputers. Stories warned that intelligence without ethics could become a threat. Today, those warnings are being discussed by scientists, executives, and governments. Leading researchers have raised concerns about AI systems learning to deceive, manipulate, or pursue goals in unexpected ways. Others fear autonomous weapons that can select and strike targets without direct human command. Critics say apocalyptic warnings are exaggerated and distract from current harms, such as job loss, bias, surveillance, and misinformation. They argue today's risks are already serious enough. But supporters of the new campaign say ignoring long-term threats would be reckless. Once systems surpass human capability in critical areas, reversing course may be difficult. The code is live. The clock is ticking. And for the first time in history, the predator might be something we programmed ourselves. Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
It usually takes a period of 3 to 5 years for students to finish their academic degrees. But the present scenario seems to be a bit different. In fact, students are reportedly opting for what's being called hyper-accelerated degrees, becoming graduates at a breakneck speed. Reports reveal supporters of the approach tout it as an affordable and convenient way for people to earn credentials that they need for their careers. To keep up with the growing trend among students, many US schools reportedly have been experimenting with ways to speed up traditional college programs to reduce the cost and help students move into the workforce faster. A US-based university argues that its online program, which has 3,000 students enrolled, is designed to help older, non-traditional students rapidly obtain an affordable degree that they may need for a raise, promotion, or even a new job. However, academic officials have raised concerns. Naturally, they say the approach will devalue in-person education over time. The growing interest in fast degrees has spawned a mini industry of coaches offering advice online, and they are coaching the students on how to find a school, figure out what classes to take, and speed through the programs. But these hyper-accelerated degrees have a flip side as well. From cheating concerns, value of the degrees, to many academic officials even questioning if speed and learning can actually go hand in hand, the debate over these kind of degrees is only getting more heated. What if the universe did not begin with a bang? What if everything we know was born from a collapse, a rebound, a cosmic bounce? A bold new study is reviving one of science's most radical ideas. The beginning of time may not have been a beginning at all. Our next report decoding this for you.
For decades, humanity has lived with one grand origin story. A tiny point, infinite heat, a sudden explosion. Space, time, and matter bursting into existence in a moment called the Big Bang. But what if that picture is incomplete? A new wave of research is breathing life into an older and deeply provocative theory known as the Big Bounce. Instead of the universe emerging from nothing, this model suggests the cosmos may have existed before. It may have contracted, collapsed under immense gravity, and then rebounded into the expanding universe we see today. The idea challenges one of the biggest puzzles in physics. The Big Bang model struggles with the singularity problem, the moment where known laws of science break down and density becomes infinite. The bounce removes that impossible point. There is no absolute beginning, only transition. Some researchers now argue that relic black holes, ancient objects surviving from an earlier cosmic phase, could offer clues. If detected, they may point to a universe that existed before our own expansion began. This concept is not entirely new. In the 1970s, Indian physicist Rajkumar Patriya proposed the black hole universe theory. He suggested our universe might exist inside a black hole embedded within a larger reality. In that vision, creation was not a blast from nothing, but a rebirth from something already there. Other scientists are exploring cyclic cosmology, where universes expand, slow down, collapse, and rise again in endless rhythm. Birth followed by death. Death followed by birth. None of this has replaced the Big Bang. It remains the leading explanation supported by powerful evidence such as cosmic background radiation and galaxy expansion. But the new studies show the debate is far from over. The deepest question in science remains open. Did everything begin once, or has the universe been bouncing through eternity, long before we arrived to ask? Bureau Report WION World is One.
In a significant step, as many as 5,000 women will embark on Hajj to Saudi Arabia without a male companion this year. Data showing Kerala has taken the lead, accounting for over 4,000 women in the category. And this is the largest contingent of women taking the lead to go for Hajj in the Ladies Without Mahram category since 2018. While traveling without a male companion was previously considered difficult, changes in the system have now opened doors for women who do not have a male companion to complete their pilgrimage. Millions embark on this sacred pilgrimage every year, but this year's Hajj is bringing about a significant change and a new perspective. Women aged 45 years and above who wish to go for the pilgrimage are allowed to travel in groups of 4 or more. Single women in the same age group can also apply. Over 1 lakh pilgrims are expected to undertake the Hajj pilgrimage this year itself. And the majority of pilgrims are managed by the Hajj Committee of India, with a significant portion also traveling through private tour operators. Our next story is about the awards that are regarded as the Oscars of science. Among the most lucrative prizes in science, the breakthrough prizes. In fact, a married couple who created the first approved gene therapy for blindness have been awarded the honor. Further life science prizes celebrated a gene therapy for sickle cell anemia and beta thalassemia, and the discovery of genetic drivers for frontotemporal dementia and ALS. The breakthrough prizes are described as by their Silicon Valley founders as the Oscars of science, and they were given out this weekend in Los Angeles. The breakthrough prize for mathematics went to work on non-linear evolution equations, which basically describe how complex systems change over time. A molecular biologist, Bennett, and Albert McGuire, an ophthalmologist, sharing the breakthrough prize for life sciences with a physician, Catherine Hai. Bennett and McGuire developed the gene therapy, and tests in animals and human trials developed with Catherine Hai showed that it restored lost vision. The therapy was reportedly approved in the US in 2017, and it has been a major life-changing breakthrough for those born with LCA, which is basically a genetic disorder that typically causes total blindness by early adulthood. The emotional experience of those whose lives have changed thanks to it is heartwarming, to say the least. Imagine one of the best pacers in the world alongside the #1 T20 batter and the #1 T20I bowler, all playing for world champions India. Jasprit Bumrah, Abhishek Sharma and Rashid Khan could have been Indian teammates had Rashid not turned down an offer of Indian citizenship. In his book, Rashid Khan From Streets to Stardom, the book Rashid Khan From Streets to Stardom, the star leg spinner basically revealing that he received informal citizenship offers from both India and Australia, but he turned them down. He said, I'm quoting, "I received such offers from both Australia and India, but I told them if I don't play for my country, I will not play for any other country either," quote unquote. And while he did not go into details about the Australian offer, he described the Indian approach during the 2023 IPL season. He said he met a high-ranking official who urged him to stay in India. He says, given the situation in Afghanistan, Rashid will be in action tonight, in fact, as the Gujarat Titans take on the Mumbai Indians in Ahmedabad. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Modi Kampir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is